Gladiator 2.
All right, let's get into Gladiator 2. I did not love this film. Alan, you did not love this film. We did a non-spoiler review. This review will be filled with spoilers because they must be pointed out. And my God, I look, it wasn't as if I had any high expectations for this movie. They were low, and it didn't even reach my low expectations. In particular, and we will talk about the end of the movie, which the audience I saw it with laughed. I thought it was so dumb. It was, well, I'll get into it later. Alan, please wax for me, or would you give me your now spoiler thoughts on Gladiator 2?
Yeah, the movie was just one misstep after the next. I think the thing that bothered me the most about this movie was this constant reference to the first movie.
Yes.
We talked about it last time that it was basically the opening credit sequence were scenes, animated scenes of the first movie. And then the entire movie is just constant callback to that first movie.
When you're reminding the audience the movie that this is a sequel to was a better movie, that's a bad sign. And that opening titles is what killed it for me. I just sat there going, why are they showing these? It could have been AI that they did it with. I mean,
I think it was, it was just basically rotoscoping the original. The thing though is that here, I'm going to make a guess about the behind the scenes. I bet you they were never intending to put scenes of the original movie in it. And then when they got all the footage put together, they realized, oh God, we got to put footage of the original movie in this. Because and the reason this infuriates me is because the reason they brought in footage from the first movie was to build sympathy for the main character. 100% the only reason. Because they couldn't create sympathy for the main character otherwise.
Yeah,
and it's just cheap. I mean, this is storytelling at its worst when you can't build sympathy for a main character and you have to go through other means to do it.
Right, and then they had to go and reveal this connection, and I'm going to ruin it now. The lead character, Paul Mescal, Lucius, he plays Lucius, is the young boy that was in the first movie, Lucilla's son. It's implied very strongly that Lucilla and Maximus had an affair, which resulted in Lucius. So Lucius is the son of Maximus, played by Paul Mescal as an adult now.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow he was abandoned by her.
Well, he was sent off for safety.
Sent off to safety, and he feels abandoned. He joined these so-called barbarians and kind of, just denied his past and fought for the other team, so to speak, and found himself in this situation. But that's the only reason we should care. The character of Lucius is the son of the main character from the last movie.
Yeah. Well,
it also shows you, by the way, how I hate to bring it back to Star Wars. You tease me, you bug me all the time, like that I bring everything back to Star Wars, but I do. So, it's like, why do we care about the Star Wars sequels? The lead character of the Star Wars sequels, Rey, took the Skywalker family name as her name, even though she's the granddaughter of the main villain of all 9 movies, Emperor Palpatine, the granddaughter.
Yeah, and it feels like that the sequels, that was the moment they were building to.
And it was
her declaration.
There are no descendants or progeny of the Skywalkers or the Solos or Princess Leia or anyone. None of those characters had sons or daughters that could have continued the story. That's why I think the future of Star Wars, if they're talking about a fourth trilogy, is such a bad idea. I don't think it'll work. I don't think people care enough about Rey.
Yeah,
So,
but it was this constant reminder that Lucius is the son of Maximus. And
right. So that so that you would care, right? But I'm saying in Star Wars they screw that up. I don't care now what happens to the granddaughter of the main villain. So this is like a veiled connection, and I thought it was so clumsily handled. The way the explanation was clumsily handled, and it's meant to make you care, but I don't. I'm not super. I think Paul Mescal is kind of generic as an actor. I don't think. I mean, I like Pedro Pascal better than Paul Mescal.
Yeah, which is why you have to constantly make connections with Lucius and Maximus.
Right, exactly. I realized Paul Mescal and Pedro Pascal, their names rhyme. Pascal, mezcal. And mezcal sounds like an alcohol beverage. Just saying. Anyways.
Yeah. And then it just becomes it's just a generic tale. I mean, the only fights I remember are the ones is the mutant monkey fight. Which is why I remember it, and then the shark battle.
Yeah, but the monkeys were it was so fake looking.
Yeah,
the way they fought. I'll tell you where the humans touched the monkeys, which are all fake. It looked fake. The sharks looked fake. It looked like, I mean, it's not as bad as Sci-Fi Channel,
right?
But it's in that direction.
Yeah, the thing is the monkeys. They were mutant monkeys. They didn't look like monkeys. They were bred to be fighters, and so it becomes a cartoon. And then the sharks, they put lasers on the top of the sharks to fight the.
They actually did not put lasers, but they may as well have.
I know, exactly.
That scene just made no sense to me. It was embarrassing.
Yeah, and then again, Lucius, in the end, it's like, I'm here to make Rome great again. I thought it was interesting that the Denzel Washington character was basically ushering in the fall of Rome. I thought that was an interesting idea, but you don't realize what he's doing until literally the last act of the film. So this idea that he's plotting along the way is never really uncovered or revealed, or you don't get the sense that this is something significant until the end of the movie. You just get the sense that he is a guy who is getting his power through the emperor, by manipulating the emperor.
And they did the Rocky II thing. Let me tell you. So in Rocky 1, if you ask people who won the fight at the end of Rocky 1, well, you think Rocky. No, he didn't win. He did not win. Rocky did not win. He was defeated by Apollo Creed. But what did Rocky win at the end? He didn't win the fight. He won respect. That's what makes Rocky a great, great sports film, one of the iconic movies. And then what they did was they made a sequel to Rocky, Rocky II, which is basically the same movie, except what happens at the end? Rocky wins the rematch with Apollo Creed. He wins. That's what this is. This is a remake of the first Gladiator, but instead of, Maximus died, but he sort of won the spirit of Rome, right? He won the respect. In this, Paul Mescal as Lucius wins. It's Rocky II all over again. And let's talk about that final fight with Denzel. Alan, it was laughable. Be honest with me. It was laughable. And okay, spoilers.
You didn't like the mud pit that they're
Macrinus gets his hand cut off and it looks dumb. It looks so dumb. He chops it off and it's bleeding like in a,
and then he tells him that he's his father.
The audience thought with laughed. Look, I know there are people or friends of mine who actually really like this film, and that's fine. I never I never begrudge people that have a different opinion than I mean, I like talking to people that have different opinions. That's why I think you and I are such good friends. I respect your opinion, even
Yeah.
though when we differ, I think we're aligned on this for sure. I think,
Yeah.
but wow, this just that when the ending is so weak like that. But this is the Rocky II of Gladiator II movies, if that makes sense.
Yeah. The other moment that stood out to me was, because in the first movie, Maximus grabs a handful of dirt, and when he does that, it's meaningful. It's there's
Yes.
you get the gravity of why he does that, and of course they have to repeat it here.
Yeah.
And it's done to create a smoke screen for a rhino.
Well, that's what Rocky II. I love the Rocky movies. When I was a kid, those were like Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
I mean, Rocky III was an event. I remember that was just because it had built up. It was this small, almost indie movie. And even the story behind Rocky getting made was a great story with Sylvester Stallone. And like, so great. When by Rocky III, it was epic, right? Gladiator II repeats some of the key moments from the first movie, but not as well. Rocky II does the same thing. And it's all over. Now, in the case of Rocky II, we really like the character.
Yeah.
We see him come into his own, but they just hit the same beats as Rocky I with a different lens. And then he wins the fight instead of losing it in Rocky I.
Yeah. I mean, Return of the Jedi is very much like that as well.
Yes.
It's like, the good guys are going to win. So here's the story of how they won it. And you just kind of, the ending, but you're really not that locked in with the original to tell an effective story that just kind of builds a good foundation beneath it.
But the ending, I'm just saying that I don't think this will lead to a Gladiator 3, whereas Rocky led to a whole franchise. Right? I mean, I love the Rocky movies. I love even the bad Rocky movies because I love that character.
Yeah.
That is Stallone. Like, that's a part of his spirit that he brought into being. He created a modern myth with the Rocky, not just Rocky, Apollo Creed, Creed's son, like that whole thing. It's a very American story. So, but you see the connection I'm trying to make between the Rocky films and this movie, Gladiator II and Rocky II. It makes it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But,
I think the point you're making is Rocky II is the ending you wish you had in Rocky I.
Right.
Gladiator 2 is the end you wish you had in Gladiator 2. I'll tell you, this is why there won't be a Gladiator 3. Gladiator 2 effectively cut off the first movie now. So every connection you have with that first movie has been done with and dealt with and dispatched with. And the problem is, to make a Gladiator 3 movie, you have to be invested in the Lucius character. And I just don't think people are invested in that character enough to not only make a sequel, but to make a story that is purely his as this now great leader. I don't see that Lucius as a great leader because I was told he was a great leader in the movie and not shown that he was a great leader in the movie.
I mean, it's no different than our non-spoiler review. I don't recommend this film. Yeah. It's a colossal disappointment.
Yeah, it's bad. It's
you know what else? You know what else is not good? The popcorn bucket. Alan, you got the popcorn bucket. Do you have it? Let me you know what? I get all the dumb popcorn buckets. You know what I don't have? I don't have this bucket.
Because it looks so good in the pictures, but my daughter put candy in it. But there you go.
Even the bucket is a disappointment.
At least I only paid $20 for it, compared to the $35 I know.
Comes with popcorn.
Yeah, it looked really good in the picture, and then when I opened it, it was like, oh god, I just got ripped off.
Oh.